You look up at the night sky, and there it is, hanging there, enormous and silver and familiar, the same face it has shown you every single night of your life, the moon. You have probably stood outside and stared at it at some point, maybe on a quiet evening, maybe after a long day, maybe as a child when it seemed close enough to touch. And you felt something. Awe, maybe. Comfort, certainly. The moon is beautiful. The moon is constant. The moon has been there for 4.5 billion years, and it will be there long after you are gone. That is what you have always believed. But let me ask you something. What if the moon, that silent silver companion, is not just hanging there? What if every single night it rises, something is being taken from you? Something slow, something irreversible, something that has been happening since before the first human ever looked up and wondered what it was. Why is the moon doing this? And why did it take us this long to notice? The answer is going to bother you. Now let's be fair. The idea that the moon is harmless makes complete sense. It gives us the tides. It stabilized the tilt of the earth, which gave us stable seasons, which gave us agriculture, which gave us civilization. Without the moon, we probably would not exist at all. Some scientists genuinely believe the moon is one of the reasons life took hold on this planet in the first place. You would be right to look up at it with gratitude. You would be right to call it our protector. And you might say, the moon is just a rock, a big dead rock with no atmosphere, no magnetic field, no weather. It orbits us. It reflects sunlight. How could it possibly be killing anything? That's a very sensible objection. Let's check it. Let's be honest about what the moon is actually doing to us, day by day, year by year, across geological time. If you want to understand how the universe actually works, not just how it looks, but how it works, hit that subscribe button. We are going to take things apart and see what makes them tick. Let's find things out together. Here's the first thing you need to know. The Earth is slowing down. Right now, as you sit there reading or listening to this, the Earth is spinning fractionally slower than it was this morning. And it has been slowing since the day the moon formed. The moon is not just hanging there, it is braking us, gently, patiently, relentlessly. The mechanism is the tides. Imagine you have a ball of jelly sitting on a table, and you slowly drag a magnet across it without touching it. The surface of the jelly bulges toward the magnet. It stretches, lags, distorts. Now imagine the ball of jelly is spinning. The bulge does not point directly at the magnet anymore. The spin carries it slightly ahead. The magnet is then pulling backward on that bulge, tugging it, decelerating it. That is exactly what the moon does to Earth. The tidal bulge, the slight elongation of Earth's oceans and crust toward the moon, gets dragged slightly ahead of the moon's position because Earth is spinning faster than the moon orbits. The moon grabs that bulge gravitationally and pulls it back. Every tide that rises and falls is the Earth losing rotational energy. Every tide, every day, for 4.5 billion years. Do you see what happens? The numbers are almost unimaginably small on a human time scale. Earth's day is getting longer by about 1.4 milliseconds every century, a millisecond per century. You will never feel it. Your great-great-grandchildren will never feel it. But here is what that adds up to. 400 million years ago, a day on Earth was roughly 22 hours long. Go back further, to the very early Earth when the moon had just formed from the debris of a planetary collision, and a day was somewhere between 6 and 8 hours long. The Earth was spinning nearly 3 times faster than it does today. It was a different world in every sense. And in the future, if the moon and Earth survive long enough, which is a significant if, the day will eventually grow to match the lunar month. Earth will become tidally locked to the moon, just as the moon is already locked to us. The same face of Earth will always point at the moon. Day and night as you know them will cease to exist for most of the planet. Now I want to take this deeper, because the stolen rotation is only part of the story. There is a second thing happening, and this one is stranger. This is where it gets uncomfortable. The moon is also moving away from us. By about 3.8 centimeters per year, the moon drifts outward along its orbit. Where is it getting the energy to do that? It is getting it from the Earth. The same tidal braking that slows our spin is transferring angular momentum from Earth's rotation into the moon's orbit. We are literally feeding the moon our energy, and the moon is using it to escape us. Think about that for a moment. Think about what that means for something you have seen with your own eyes. A total solar eclipse. That extraordinary, terrifying, once-in-a-lifetime alignment where the moon slides in front of the sun and fits, impossibly, perfectly, like a coin dropped over a spotlight. The moon is 400 times smaller than the sun, and it is 400 times closer. That coincidence, that extraordinary numerical accident, is why eclipses are total, why they are precise, why the corona, the blazing atmosphere of the sun, appears exactly at the edge of the disk like a crown of fire. That alignment will not last forever. The moon is moving away. Eclipses, as you know them, the kind that turns day into darkness, that made ancient civilizations believe the gods were angry, that caused armies to stop fighting out of sheer terror, those eclipses have a deadline. In roughly 600 million years, the moon will be too far away. It will become an annular eclipse, a ring of light around a dark disk. Close, but not total, not that. The moon already showed you something it will never show your descendants, and you may not have known it. This is the part that keeps me up at night, because here is the full picture. The moon formed from a catastrophic collision. A Mars-sized body called Theia slammed into the young Earth, and the debris coalesced into the moon. That violent birth gave Earth its tilt, its stability, and its companion. But from the moment of its formation, the moon has been engaged in a slow extraction. Rotational energy, tidal heating, the geometry of eclipses, the length of the day, all of it is being quietly rearranged by gravitational mechanics that do not care about life, do not care about us, do not operate on any schedule that fits inside a human mind. And here is the implication that really lands. Every living thing on this planet evolved under a specific day length, under specific tidal conditions, under a specific moon. The circadian rhythm, the internal clock in your cells, not just in your brain, but in your liver and your muscles and your immune system, was calibrated by hundreds of millions of years of 24-hour days. Change the day length and you begin to stress the machinery of life, not quickly, not in a way you could measure or feel. But evolution is not fast, and the moon is patient. The moon that stabilized us is also the moon that is slowly, mechanically, indifferently dismantling the conditions that made us possible. Let's bring this back to your body right now. This is not purely cosmological. The tidal forces of the moon are weaker than many people realize on land, but they are measurable. The solid rock beneath your feet flexes by about 30 centimeters twice a day under the moon's pull. The ground you are standing on moves. The crust of the earth breathes in and out on a tidal schedule, and the water in your own body, which is 2/3 of you by mass, is subject to the same forces. The biological effects are debated and small, but they are not zero. Your cells are navigating a gravitational landscape that shifts with every orbit of a 73 quintillion kilogram rock passing 384,000 kilometers overhead. You have been doing this your entire life and never once felt it. And for 600 million years, so has every living thing that ever existed. So the moon is not killing us the way a predator kills. It is not aggressive. It is not malicious. It is doing something more profound and more disturbing than that. It is changing the conditions of our existence by following the pure and indifferent laws of physics. Gravity does not negotiate. Angular momentum is conserved. The tidal forces do not pause for the emergence of consciousness or civilization or art or love. We built calendars around the moon. We named months after it. Cultures across every continent wove it into their myths and their sense of time. And all the while, invisibly, the moon was engaged in a transaction with the earth, taking spin, giving distance, stretching the day, shifting the geometry of the sky, on a timescale so long that every human civilization that has ever existed represents a rounding error. But here is the thing. Here is the part I keep coming back to. The moon is not taking anything that was not borrowed. The energy in Earth's rotation came from the original collision that formed the solar system. The moon itself came from a catastrophic impact. The tidal engine that is slowly winding down has, for 4 billion years, been one of the forces that made this planet habitable. The same tidal friction that is stealing our day length also heated the early Earth, helped drive the water cycle, and may have played a role in the origin of life in the tidal pools where chemistry first crossed the threshold into biology. The moon has been both the architect and the slow dismantler of the world we live in. And that is not a contradiction. That is just physics. That is just gravity following its own rules across timescales that make human history look like a flash of light. You look at the moon and you see a rock, but you are actually looking at the engine of geological time. You are looking at 4 billion years of an ongoing transaction between two bodies bound to each other by forces that were old when the first cell divided in some ancient ocean. You owe the moon your seasons, your tides, your stable axial tilt, the length of your day, the beauty of a total eclipse, and perhaps your existence. And the moon is slowly, gently, lawfully taking it all back. The universe is not cruel, it is just honest. If this twisted your brain a little bit, good. That means it's working. I'll see you in the next one.